On our life's journey, I notice how symbolism has been a way for us to focus on some of the grand events and occasions in our lives. And most of us who have been dragged into the digital age are now using emails and texts, and there are a few basic symbols that we use to express ourselves. It is now common to use those little enjoy symbols, if that's how you pronounce it. Even I can't remember how to pronounce that, being an old timer. But isn't it amazing how those little symbols make up exactly what you want to say, like the old saying that one picture expresses more than 1,000 words. The common one, which I love to use, is the prayer one. That just says it all without having to write out a sentence. It took me a while to get used to this because I always thought when you write to people or phone someone, you have to have something to say, and it's an effort to add an event, an effort most of the time to get the words right, but all you have to do is press something and there it is, like the happy face. When it's wet, there's the umbrella and there's the others. That one symbol says it all. The symbolism we've been using for years in Unity for the burning bowl ceremony has been the flame and the fire. And I just found an old card here, which was very good. It's one of Beverly Milne's friends, the phoenix standing on one leg, symbol of fire. There it is. And we've used that slide over many years, and that's from Beverly's book on Tai Chi, which is in our library. And we use the symbol of fire to burn up that which we don't need from the past anymore, which isn't serving us. I've been in quite a few groups who've used that, and some of them call it the violet transmuting flame. There was a group in the States called the I Am movement. Wonderful group, and I read quite a bit of their literature, but I moved on from that. But they had a wonderful, wonderful ceremony of the violet flame transmuting all the dross from our lives. And another teacher used to say, when you're in the shower, not just bodily cleansing, but just let that water cleanse the inner as well, that inner psychic dross which builds up. And we are so lucky in this day and age to have our showers and water inside with warm water, purifying us. What we're going to do today is write something out on a bit of paper. So I invite you to have 2 pieces of paper, and you will need them both for the affirmations and denials. And what we're going to do is we're going to use magic, that creative power in us, that power, God-given power. We are going to use that to bring into our lives all the fruits of the Spirit. Now, if they sound a bit boring, have a listen to them. It's not a new car, it's not a new house, it's not a new fridge, but have a listen to these. I think it would cover everything. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. If we had those things expressed in our life, everything else would just fall into place. Not only that, we're all prayed up and we're storing up treasures in heaven. And we know heaven and hell are states of mind. So isn't it nice that we're in a good place right here and right now? As we affirm these gifts of spirit, we don't just do it for ourselves anymore, which was one of the things I used to be a bit concerned about when I first got into the New Thought movement. It's all about me. I want this, I want that, I'm going to affirm for this. But now, as we evolve spiritually, it's amazing how yes, we want to include others that are also expressions on the same path, because we're all heading in the same direction. The third unity principle says, which I think we referred to last week, human beings create their experiences by the activity of their thinking. And everything in the manifest realm has its beginning in thought. Well, if that's so, how come we find ourselves in situations we really don't want to be in? Well, I'm going to get an old guru to help me here. Next week, Diane's going to review the Unity magazine, but I'm getting in before her. There's a wonderful chap there called Reverend Thomas Shepherd. He was the former professor of theology and church history at the Unity Institute. He has a column in there every month. I've quoted from him before, and I usually keep a photocopy of his column because it's so helpful for classes and things for those hard questions we always get. He says, first of all, he had someone write in, "Dear Dr. Tom, I've heard that lots of spiritual folks say that we create circumstances with our thoughts. The whole world has been dealing with the pandemic for more than a year. Did we cause it with our thoughts? Sometimes it feels as if we're all being punished." Fair enough question for that magazine. He says, "Dear GC, okay, this is where I ruffle feathers of the absolutists among us. We do not cause everything with our thoughts. We don't cause lightning to strike, earthquakes to topple buildings, or pandemics to sweep the planet. Certainly, we have the power to affect our world by centering on health, prosperity, and love. These thoughts tend to bring positive results, but we're talking about spiritual centering, not practical magic. Our responses to these events in the outer world shape how much we allow the foibles of life to control us. An old Islamic saying, trust in Allah, but tie your camel. A whimsical God doesn't send this plague or that, nor divine beings rescue us when we choose foolhardy behavior. So here's the modern equivalent for the wisdom of the camel tie. Trust in God, get vaccinated, wear a mask, and practice social distancing. We didn't cause the pandemic, but we can cause it to vanish from the earth through affirmative prayer and personal choices. Whether you agree with that or not, it doesn't matter. I just thought, well, what a great answer. The wisdom that man has, I cherish. And it was great to be able to pass that on to you. Now, I first performed the burning bowl. I think I've done that about 10 times. And Reverend Silver, you've performed the burning bowl ceremony as well, many times. And usually on the first Sunday of the new year. But everything's different. Nothing goes to plan. It suits us to do it now. And we're also adapting it. We don't have great symbolism here today because we have the symbolism inside us. We have the flame of life inside us. And we've adjusted over the last 2 years to many different things, not only here with our Zoom, but also in our personal lives. Nothing stays the same, but our attitude to it can help us in these times. Especially now we don't take things for granted. Things that used to be part of our daily life, like those who've been quietly supplying services to us. We rush into the shop, buy something and go out, but now I say thank you to these people that have been there all these years, the last 2 years, and supplied services in the battle zone, on the front line. I'm grateful for their courage and the stamina in keeping going at what has been a testing time for all. In the early days of New Thought, when I learnt about it, I tend to affirm things, as I said before, mainly for myself. Books came on the market and would all grab them. I can remember them. I've got them piled up in the other room. They were very helpful. And then all of a sudden, The Secret, which was the big DVD and book, came, written by an Australian from Melbourne. So here's another Australian thing that's hit the world. That was amazing in bringing the power of thought into mainstream life. And many people have used that. But what I don't think the book covered, and I think a lot of people would have learned through trial and error, is that there's another side to this. We can create what we want, but we also take the consequences for what we want when it comes into our lives. Because we change in consciousness. As I said before, nothing stays the same. I'm not who I was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. None of us are. And we'll be different again tomorrow. That's where the Unity teachings, the New Thought teachings, are powerful, because it goes on a step to bring those wonderful laws into our life. The law of cause and effect. I'm reminded of the gospel of Jesus, where he says, preach my gospel to the whole world. And that's the whole gospel, not a bit of it. The balanced gospel of what we affirm, we take the consequences for. Something to remember when we do our affirmations and denials today. This is not a religious concept. I'm enjoying learning more and more about Jesus' teachings, because I'll be teaching that in March. And the best book I've found is Eric Butterfield's book, Discover the Power Within You. It is just so good. It's got everything there. And in it, he talks about the teachings of Jesus and how times people have in the past made it the Jesus, about teachings about Jesus, not his teachings. I recommend that book for those who want to do this course. It's not on the list, but I'm going to have a meeting with the Unity National School Centre. We'll arrange for that to be put on the book list. And of course, the main rule is the golden rule, and that is do unto others. That's all. We just need to be better people to get through this time. Better people. The simple truth. Better people, it's easy. Did it feel good for you? No. Well, don't do it to someone else. Not an easy teaching to put into practice when we're triggered by lots of things that happen around us now. Jesus taught us the universal spiritual law, which is timeless and effective. But to put it into action is another thing. That's the hard part. So now we have the part where we put this power into action with our denials. You have a piece of paper there, and all of us have been invited to write something down on that paper, something that's been part of our old consciousness, our old way of thinking, which we don't want in our life anymore. It served its purpose. Thank you, now go, get behind me. And what you do, when we have the meditation music, you get that piece of paper, you can either tear it up or later burn it in a spot at home that's safe. That's why we're not using flames and things here. Or, as another minister has suggested, flush it down the toilet. I think that's perfect. That will do the trick if you need to do that straight away. So, okay, we are now free from the past mistakes, and we know the truth, and the truth makes us free. So I invite you now, while the music's on, to write that down and release it from your life. Thank you, Rod.